Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's DLloyd. So I really don't know where to start, but let's go ahead and talk about it, man. Breaking news came down at around 4-ish a.m. It's now 6 a.m. my time when I'm recording this. Had some time to digest it, figure things out, and we're going to talk about it. But according to Adrian Wojnarowski, crazy Woj bomb. Everybody loves an early morning Woj bomb to start your day. The Lakers are focused and determined to sign UConn head coach Dan Hurley as the next guy. Now, why is this such a big deal? One, because Dan Hurley is not just a regular coach. He's one of the most sought after coaches in basketball. Two-time champion, back-to-back champions at UConn. And I'm a Kentucky guy, right? I graduated from University of Kentucky. I'm big when it comes to Kentucky football and basketball. Now, Dan Hurley was a top guy that Kentucky wanted. When Coach Calipari decided to leave, go to Arkansas, Dan Hurley was a guy that Kentucky wanted. Obviously, they missed out on that. He decided to stay at UConn. Now everything's coming full circle because the Lakers are now focused on Dan Hurley. Now, why Dan Hurley? Dan Hurley is obviously a great coach. He's a good coach when it comes to developing players. When you look at those UConn rosters and teams, they are good teams, but they're not full of 5 stars, right? It's not like you look at UConn and this Coach Cal's Kentucky teams back in the day where, you got 3 players ranked in the top 10, 5 players in the top 20. That's not the team that you see at UConn, but he's able to develop guys, and we've seen him do it with multiple teams and different players throughout the years. Dan Hurley is a great guy when it comes to developing talent. Also, he is one of the better X's and O's coaches in probably the world. College, NBA, overseas, we see him do a lot of stuff with those teams to maximize what he gets out of his players. Now, how will it translate to the NBA? That is obviously going to be a great question. We have seen coaches come from college ranks before to both sides, right? They have sucked, and some of them have been pretty good. You don't know which one you're going to get, and that is always a fair criticism. I'm not going to sit here and say you don't have the right to criticize that, because we don't know exactly how it's going to translate, especially because the college game and the NBA game is almost completely different when it comes to just how it's played on the court. On top of that, just what you do as a head coach in college, you run the entire program. You are the head, you are the star, you are that guy. You make every single decision that happens within that program. When you come over to a team in the NBA, you're not running the entire show. And on top of that, you now have star players, and we know the NBA is a star-driven league. The players really have more power than the head coach does. So it's definitely a different set of dynamics that could change how things play out. But some of the positives, obviously, with Dan Hurley is he is very good at adapting. We have seen him adapt. Great coach. Lakers fans, you don't have to worry about, is my coach going to call a timeout or not? You're not going to have to worry about that at all when it comes to Dan Hurley. Now, one thing that you do have to be somewhat concerned about, right, is this coming out right now. You would have to assume the Lakers are at least somewhat close to maybe getting this deal done. Now, we are hearing things like they are on a full court press to try to convince him to come to LA. He is the number 1 guy for the Lakers. He has always been the number 1 guy for the Lakers. So when you hear all of that, a couple of things that you have to piece from this situation. One, you have to sign Dan Hurley at this point. Dan Hurley has to become the next head coach of the Lakers, and it has to happen relatively soon. Of course, you don't want to overshadow NBA Finals games. The fact that this came out on the morning of Game 1, somewhat interesting. You don't want to rival that. I'm sure the NBA does not want that to be the talking point. So you're going to have to do this in between games or potentially at the end of the season in terms of announcing it. But one thing that you have to do is sign him. You can't go back to JJ Redick. You can't go back to another coach. Well, maybe you can go back to JJ Redick, but the sentiment is you really can't do that, because this is a clear shot that this is the number 1 guy. So whoever else the Lakers go with is clearly not going to be the number 1 guy. Lakers can't stand up there and say, hey, we were interested in Dan Hurley, but after interviewing JJ Redick, we thought he was the better candidate. Nobody's going to believe that. So this has to pretty much be the guy. Money should not be an issue at all. Lakers need to pay whatever they need to pay to get Dan Hurley. Now he's only making, which I was somewhat shocked about, a little less than $6 million a year at UConn. I'm not sure if there's bonuses in that contract or not, but he signed that extension in 2023. So it's probably what he's getting paid. The Lakers will have to probably double that, you would assume, and to be an NBA coach to deal with what he has to go through with this roster, because we know the Lakers' job is an enticing job. It's a good job if you're very ambitious. It's a very crazy job to take for a first-time NBA coach. Dan Hurley may be that type of crazy to take this job. And we know with Dan Hurley, if you see him on the sidelines of games, he's very animated. He's very passionate. He's not afraid to yell at officials. He's not afraid to yell at his own players. And we'll see how that carries over in the NBA. Will he have to change that? Or is he going to yell at LeBron? Will he hold LeBron accountable? I would assume he would. But you never know how you will change when you get into the NBA. And like I said, rules are a little bit different in that spot. So it's an interesting, very interesting dynamic. Personally, I will love it. When you look at the coaches that were available, there wasn't a ton of guys that just stuck out in terms of we need to get him. He is clearly the guy. He's going to change things around for the Lakers. And this tells you two things. Tells you, one, that the Lakers are trying to take the power back in their own hands, right? LeBron James kind of been running the show for the most part. Obviously, some of the head coaches before were not his doing, but it's showing that they are looking for consistency and they're looking to build long term rather than just try to win right now. With that said, of course, they are still trying to win right now, but it's not a situation where they're just going after it, because Dan Hurley's not going to come on a 3-year deal. Let's be real. It's going to be a 5-year plus 6-year type deal that he will come with the Lakers with if they're able to bring him in. So you're saying we're looking for longevity, we're looking for consistency, and we want to build an organization that can win for years to come, not just in the next 2 or 3 years. If LeBron James stays, we always have to remember he's a free agent, right? His agent came out and said he's a free agent, so we have to remember that at all times. But that is something you have to worry about too. I think this definitely tells you about the Lakers' plan when it comes to roster construction. Now, the days of the 3-star team is pretty much dead. We have heard that the Lakers could go star hunting this offseason. I think if you bring in a guy like Dan Hurley, you're pretty much eliminating that. With that said, you're now looking to build the guys that you currently have. So Rui, Austin Reeves, Max Christie, Vando. I don't know if you want to consider DLloyd in that or not. We'll see what happens with him. But those are the guys that you're looking to build up. Then keeping pick 17 becomes a real possibility as well, because with the new CBA rules, Lakers are already a first apron team. You don't want to be a second apron team. You really don't want to be a first apron team, right? But the Lakers are in this spot, and it's the NBA is trying to get people from just spending exorbitant amount of monies and being in the Sun spot or the Clippers spot right now, where they're paying so much money. They're second apron team, but they're not really giving you much when it comes to success, right? You need those draft picks. If you get a draft pick and he can perform well for that low salary for a few years, that is what buys you time, and that is what creates, longevity now in the NBA with the new CBA rules. So I think the Lakers keep pick 17. I don't think they go star hunting. They fill out the roster with guys that they think could fit in their roles and they can maximize their potential. Then you keep, obviously, LeBron, AD, and you go from there. I think those are the major things it says. I'm a huge fan. If the Lakers could pull this off, I love this deal for the Lakers. Yes, it's a risk. It's a risk. It's a college coach. We don't know how he's going to be in the NBA. We have seen it go both ways, like I said before. But when you look at who is available, is JJ Redick really the guy? And I'm not saying JJ's a bad coach. I think he'll be a great coach. But with his relationship with LeBron James, how people are going to view that in the locker room, is that the guy? Is it? Maybe if Hurley doesn't work out and you need somebody that takes the job, he will probably still take it. But is that the guy that you want? That's the question. I'll take Dan Hurley over a lot of people, but definitely over JJ. So you guys let me know what you guys think about this, man. Are you excited? Do you think this could be a great fit? Are you hesitant about it? I know one of my boys, he immediately said it would not be a great hire for the Lakers. I think otherwise, man, but y'all let me know how y'all feel about it in the comment section below. As usual, hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please do me a favor. Go ahead and leave this video a like. It helps me out a lot. And subscribe if you haven't already. It's DLloyd. I'm see y'all next time. Peace.